Okay, so ready to dive into a big one today.
Always ready.
Does more wealth actually equal more happiness?
Ah, the age-old question.
It really is. We're going deep into Yuval Noah Harari's work today.
Oh, excellent choice.
Specifically his books, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century and Homo Deus.
Yeah.
And we're exploring his take on capitalism and consumerism and how they kind of shape our desires and our pursuit of happiness.
I think that's something that a lot of people are grappling with today.
Totally.
Especially with sort of the rise of social media and, just kind of that constant bombardment of, you need this, you need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like this recipe for happiness, just buy all these things.
Right. Yeah, and Harari, I think, really challenges that.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back.
No, he's not afraid to kind of like poke at those assumptions.
Well, he makes a really good point, too. It's that, material possessions don't actually lead to a happy life.
Right, and he's encouraging us to look beyond like the glitz and glam of
The
consumerism.
superficial stuff.
Yeah.
Find something a little bit deeper.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy to kind of fall into that trap, right?
I
Where you
see.
think, okay, if I just get this new gadget or, this new car,
This house
yeah, then I'll finally be happy.
finally arrived.
But then you get it and it's like, oh,
Yeah, then what?
okay, what's next?
What's the next thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you think he starts unpacking all of this? This complex relationship between wealth and happiness.
Well, he starts with this idea of a happiness equation.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah, and he argues that our happiness is actually much more influenced by our biochemistry.
So our brain chemistry,
Exactly.
more so than like external things.
Right, like, the size of your bank account or, how many possessions you have.
Interesting.
It's really about what's happening inside.
More of an internal game.
Yeah, and to kind of illustrate this point, he brings up the ancient philosopher Epicurus.
Okay.
And Epicurus believed that happiness basically boils down to two things:
Okay, lay it on me.
experiencing pleasant sensations
Okay.
and avoiding unpleasant ones.
That's it?
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Sounds simple enough.
Right. But you think about the world we live in today?
It's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, we're constantly bombarded with messages that, tell us that happiness is just a purchase away.
Right. If you're not happy, you're just not buying the right things.
Yeah, you need this new, face cream or this new whatever.
It's going to solve all your problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's where I see, like, the contradiction.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what Harari points out.
So the modern world is promising us abundance and satisfaction
Yeah,
through all this consumerism.
right. But we often end up feeling,
Less fulfilled.
yeah, even though we have more than ever before.
Yeah. It's like we're on this,
It's like a treadmill.
yes, a trail.
We're just constantly chasing after the next shiny object,
Right.
thinking that's what's going to finally bring us lasting joy.
Yes. And I think that's what a lot of people resonate with when they hear this kind of a message, is that they have so much more than, people in the past did.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't feel any happier.
Yeah, and Harari uses this really striking example to kind of illustrate this point.
What's that?
He talks about perfectly manicured lawns.
Lawns.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's become this kind of global symbol of wealth and status.
Interesting. Because, it seems pretty mundane, a lawn.
Right, but it's spread to places where grass isn't even naturally abundant.
Oh, wow.
He gives an example of like the Museum of Islamic Art in Qatar.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's not really known for its lush lawns.
Exactly.
So it seems like it's more than just having a nice lawn.
It's about what it represents.
Yeah.
It's like a visual declaration of success.
Okay.
It's aspiration, it's keeping up with the Joneses,
Yeah.
it's all of that.
It's fitting in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you think about the things that you desire. Are they coming from a genuine need? Or are you, maybe subconsciously chasing a feeling of belonging or status?
Ooh. That's a good question. I like that.
Yeah.
What things am I buying into?
Yeah.
Maybe without even realizing it.
And Harari then introduces a really interesting perspective into this conversation.
Okay, let's hear it.
The Buddhist perspective.
Yeah.
And Buddha argued that chasing those pleasant sensations, no matter how tempting they are, is actually the root of suffering.
Wow. Okay, hold on. So we're told to chase pleasure
Right.
in our consumerist society,
Mhm.
but Buddha's saying the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, according to Buddhism, clinging to those fleeting moments of pleasure.
Because they are fleeting, right?
Yeah,
That dopamine rush only lasts so long.
exactly. It creates this cycle of craving and dissatisfaction.
You get a little hit, and then you need more.
Exactly. You get a taste of happiness, and then you want more and more and more.
And the cycle just continues.
Yeah.
So it's like we're almost addicted to that feeling. And that's why we keep going back for more.
Exactly.
It's a tough cycle to break.
It is. It is. And so how do we kind of reconcile that?
Yeah. How do we reconcile that with, living in a consumer-driven society? How do we break free?
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It is. Well, Harari suggests this really profound shift.
Okay, I'm ready.
He says, move away from the pursuit of happiness
Cool.
and focus on finding meaning in life.
Okay, so meaning over happiness.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's a really different way of looking at things.
It is. It's a real paradigm shift.
Yeah.
But he argues that true fulfillment comes from understanding that everything is impermanent.
This too shall pass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And detaching ourselves from this constant need for more.
It's like letting go of that feeling of lack.
Yeah, that scarcity mindset,
Yeah.
that there's never enough.
Yeah. That's a powerful concept.
It is.
I like that a lot. So meaning over happiness,
Mhm.
but what does that look like in practice? Like, how do we actually find meaning in a world that's constantly telling us to consume?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to explore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating how deep that consumerist narrative goes. It's in our society.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's almost like we've been programmed to believe that, happiness equals how much stuff we have.
Right. It's a very pervasive message for sure.
It is.
But if we're not supposed to be, chasing happiness through all this consumption, then where do we turn? How do we even begin to shift our focus?
That's the big question, right?
It is, yeah.
Well, Harari suggests that a good starting point is to kind of question this idea of progress.
Progress as we know it?
Yeah, as we
Yeah.
know it.
Okay.
We often equate progress with economic growth and, technological advancements.
Right, which makes sense on the surface.
Right.
Bigger, better, faster, more.
Exactly. But does that truly translate to more meaningful lives?
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because we have faster internet or a sleeker smartphone doesn't necessarily mean we're leading more fulfilling lives.
Exactly.
Go.
And this ties back to his point about finding meaning beyond happiness.
Okay.
He argues that true meaning often comes from contributing to something larger than ourselves.
So it's less about what we accumulate
Right.
and more about what we contribute.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that a lot.
Yeah, think about it. What are some of the things that truly bring people a deep sense of purpose?
Yeah.
It's things like raising a family,
Okay.
creating art,
Mm-hmm.
working for a cause they believe in.
Yeah, it's like dedicating yourself to something that goes beyond just fulfilling your own needs.
Exactly.
It's about making a difference, leaving a positive impact on the world, however you define that.
Yeah, and that sense of meaning, that connection to something larger than ourselves can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it can give you that sense of direction, a sense of belonging,
Mm-hmm.
like a reason to get out of bed each morning.
Exactly.
That's not just chasing pleasure or comfort.
Yeah, it's something deeper than that.
Okay, so in a world that is so individualistic, how do we actually make that shift? How do we go from, prioritizing personal gain to focusing on contributing to something larger than ourselves?
Well, I think it starts with awareness
Awareness of.
those societal pressures that are kind of pushing us toward that consumerist mindset.
Okay.
And it's about consciously choosing to resist those pressures.
So we need to become aware of the narratives that we're being fed and then choose to write our own stories.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's about taking ownership of your values and making decisions that align with them.
Even if it means going against the grain.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we do that? Where do we even begin?
Well, Harari emphasizes the importance of self-reflection.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what do you truly care about? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Oh, those are some big questions.
They are big questions.
It's like taking an inventory of your values and figuring out what truly matters.
Yeah, and remember, it's a process.
Hmm?
Your values might change, your priorities might shift.
Right.
The key is to stay connected with yourself and make sure your actions align with who you are and what you believe in.
So it's not about finding this perfect answer and sticking with it forever.
Right.
It's about constantly evolving and adapting as you learn and grow.
Exactly. Life is messy and ever-changing.
Yeah, it is.
Embrace that. Be open to new experiences, new perspectives, and don't be afraid to challenge those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back.
It's about embracing discomfort as an opportunity for growth.
Yeah, think of it like strength training.
Okay.
You're not going to build muscle if you just stay in your comfort zone.
You got to push yourself.
You got to push yourself, challenge those limits to see real growth.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So we need to embrace those challenges, those moments of doubt and uncertainty, because they're ultimately making us stronger and more resilient.
Exactly. Those challenging reps are what help us develop the strength and resilience we need to find meaning and purpose in our lives.
This is making me think about like areas of my own life where I might be stuck in a rut, clinging to those old narratives about success and happiness.
Yeah.
What if I just let go of those? What new possibilities might open up?
That's the beauty of it. When we let go of those limiting beliefs, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities.
Yeah.
You can pursue things that truly resonate with you, even if they don't fit the conventional definition of success.
Okay, so we've talked about awareness, self-reflection, embracing new experiences.
Yeah.
Are there any practical steps we can take to cultivate a deeper sense of meaning in our lives?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be these huge life-altering decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Start small. Incorporate simple practices into your daily life.
Give me some examples. What kind of practices are you thinking of?
Well, one thing Harari emphasizes is connecting with something larger than yourself.
Okay, like volunteering our time, donating to a cause, or even just being more present in our relationships.
Exactly. Shift your focus outward away from that self-centered consumerist mindset and towards contributing to the well-being of others.
Yeah, it must be incredibly fulfilling to know you're making a positive difference in the lives of others.
It is.
No matter how big or small.
And remember, it doesn't have to be these grand gestures.
Right.
Sometimes the most meaningful contributions come from those small acts of kindness, those everyday interactions where you choose to be present, compassionate, and supportive.
Yeah, just being there for the people in our lives and offering help without expecting anything in return.
Right. And that sense of connection of belonging can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It reminds you that you're not alone in this world, that we're all interconnected.
So we can find meaning not just in those big grand pursuits, but also in those everyday moments of connection and contribution.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating a mindset of generosity, kindness, and service to something larger than yourself.
Okay.
And that can bring a deep sense of purpose and meaning to even the most ordinary of days.
This has been incredibly insightful. It feels like you've given us a whole new lens through which to view the world.
Yeah.
To question those ingrained narratives and to start crafting a new story for ourselves, one rooted in meaning rather than fleeting happiness.
And it's a story that's still being written.
I like that.
Yeah. The journey of finding meaning is ongoing,
Right.
full of twists and turns, challenges and triumphs.
Yeah, it's not a straight line.
No, it's not. It's a journey worth taking, though.
Okay.
Because it ultimately leads you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world.
It's a deep dive, for sure.
It is.
But I'm feeling energized and inspired to explore these ideas in my own life. Where do we go from here?
Well, I think a good place to start is to revisit that question we mentioned earlier. What gives your life meaning?
Okay, so we're back. And I think the big question on everyone's mind is how do we actually put all of this into practice?
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about it.
Right.
But it's another to actually live it.
Exactly. And how do we live a more meaningful life when we're just constantly surrounded by these messages about, consumption and instant gratification? It can feel pretty overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. And, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
It really is a journey, a process of continuous exploration and experimentation.
Yeah.
But there are some key principles, I think, that can help guide us.
Yeah, and really lay 'em on me.
Okay, so the first one is remembering that meaning isn't something you find.
Okay.
It's something you create.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's not this elusive object, hidden out there somewhere in the world just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah.
It's really about how you choose to live your life.
So the values that we prioritize, the actions we take.
Exactly.
It's not just going through the motions or letting ourselves be kind of swept along by whatever society is telling us to do.
It's about being intentional with your time, your energy, aligning your actions with those values, even when it's tough.
Intentionality. That's key.
Okay.
What else?
And we've touched on this a little bit before.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth emphasizing.
For sure.
Meaning often emerges from our relationships with others.
Yeah.
From that sense of belonging, of contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
Okay. So instead of isolating ourselves and just striving for individual achievement.
Right.
It's about nurturing those connections and bonds.
Yeah.
That give us that sense of purpose and shared experience.
Exactly. And those connections can take so many forms.
Yeah.
Your family, your friends, your community, or even a global movement, a cause that really resonates with you.
It's about finding those spaces where you feel seen and heard and valued,
Yeah.
where you can contribute your unique talents, and make a positive impact.
Exactly. And those spaces might not always be obvious.
Right.
Sometimes, it takes a little searching, a willingness to step outside of that comfort zone.
To explore.
Yeah, and explore new possibilities.
So be open to those new connections.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to, reach out to get involved, to try something different.
Exactly. You never know where those meaningful connections might pop up.
Totally.
It could be at, a local volunteer organization, a book club, a hiking group, or even an online forum dedicated to a cause you care about.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so we've got intentionality, we've got connection.
Yeah.
What's the third principle?
Growth.
Okay.
Embrace this idea that, meaning isn't this static destination.
Okay.
It's a dynamic process of growth and evolution.
So it's not about reaching some ultimate level of meaningfulness and then you're done.
No, not at all. Life is a journey of constant learning, of expanding our horizons, of pushing ourselves beyond those self-imposed limits.
And sometimes those growth spurts can be uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure.
Even painful.
Yeah. But it's often in those moments of discomfort, of uncertainty, that we experience the most profound growth.
Okay.
Think of it like lifting weights.
Oh, yeah.
Those muscle-building reps, they might be tough in the moment, but they're ultimately what make you stronger.
I like that. Okay. So embracing those challenges, those moments of stretching and growing that can actually lead to a deeper sense of meaning.
Absolutely. It's about being open to new experiences, new perspectives, even if they challenge, your existing beliefs.
Yeah.
It's about having the courage to step outside that comfort zone and embrace the unknown.
Because sometimes the most meaningful discoveries happen when we venture beyond, familiar territory.
Exactly. Think of it like exploring a new city.
Okay.
You might have your map and your plan,
Right.
but often the most memorable moments come from those unplanned detours.
Yeah.
Those unexpected encounters that kind of lead you off the beaten path.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's about being present and open to those serendipitous moments.
Yeah.
Those chance encounters. They can lead to new insights, new connections, new possibilities.
Exactly. And it's about trusting that process.
Okay.
Even when things feel uncertain, even when you don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Just trust that you're on the right path. That each experience, each challenge is kind of guiding you towards a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
This has been so insightful. And I feel like you've given us a really solid framework for navigating this whole search for meaning.
Yeah.
Like a set of principles to kind of guide us along the way.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Huh?
It's about progress.
Yeah.
It's about taking those small steps each day, making conscious choices, nurturing those connections, and embracing those opportunities for growth even when they feel daunting.
This has been an amazing deep dive, and I feel like I'm walking away with so many thought-provoking ideas and practical guidance.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I'm feeling inspired and empowered to start living a more meaningful life. So before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for our listeners out there who are, maybe just starting out on their journey of meaning making?
Yeah, I would say trust yourself, trust your intuition. You already have everything you need within you to create a life that is rich with meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to ask for help, reach out to others, explore those new possibilities, and always remember that the journey is just as important as the destination.
Beautifully said. So to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to take some time to really reflect on what we've discussed today.
Yeah.
What resonated with you? What sparked your curiosity? What small step can you take today to start creating a life that's more aligned with your values and your deepest desires?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep living a life that matters.
Whisper.